As I'm sure many of you will remember because it wasn't that long ago, really, I tried out the Sanjoki art markers, which are alcohol-based markers, and I was like, I think I would really like to try the larger set of 120. Guess what I have now? I'm very, very excited to try these out, so I hope you will come along with me. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing well. First thing I'm going to say, if there's a lot of shadows, such as this one in the corner here, ignore that. I feel like in every single video I mention, like, I moved in a new house and so things aren't quite how they should be. And that's because I'm in a new house and things aren't set up quite as they should be. On the bright side, I do have a really big window, literally right in front of me. I think in general the lighting should be better, but I guess you guys can be the judge of that. But enough dilly-dallying. The lovely people who make these Sanjoki art markers said, hey, how about we do send you the 120 set? Which my sister was also really happy about because I ended up giving her the old set of 80 that I had because I would already have all of the markers and then some. I decided to not do like an unboxing in this video because I mean it's pretty much like the same as the other set except bigger, but I will show you. I have already taken a peek inside. First off, look at this really cool case again, right? I'm still in love with these cases. Beautiful. And of course on the inside, the little tray holder thingy. It didn't come organized by number. I did that myself because it would have driven me crazy to not have that. Also inside the case, we have some little goodies. Here's like a digital swatch of the colors, and this is very similar to the last thing that was on the back of the other swatch paper. Some FAQs and all of that. Here is the actual swatch page that I filled out. But look at them! I really love the color variety. This one does come with a colorless blender. In my last video with these markers, I said that I prefer to not have a colorless blender, and that's still true for sets like this where it's 120 markers, but I mind it a lot less in like the larger sets because there are 119 other colors. Whereas when you have a smaller, more limited color palette to work with, I guess, even though it's still 80 markers, I would still personally prefer to have a full 80 instead of 79 in a colorless blender, but I mind it a lot less here because there is this very large variety. And again, I do want to say they're really popping off with the really, really pale colors. It's really hard to find colors as pale as these in cheaper marker alternatives, but I'm still really impressed with all of them. There's even more than the other one. And of course, their little pad of paper that it comes with. This is the same paper that was in my last video. I don't have anything drawn in here now, but you know, I guess just I'll make a quick little color thing. There we go. It goes on the paper really smooth. I'm not going to go too in depth because I've already done this on my channel, but it does bleed, so just beware of that. But this paper does work really nicely. But for today, I'm not using that, and I'll talk about why in a minute. Just one more thing I want to acknowledge, this little clear sheet. It's about the same size as this, so you could literally just get this and then go. And this will probably be really nice for when I do marker illustrations in my sketchbook, but today we are going to be working on a larger scale just because of the type of illustration that I have in mind. This paper isn't quite big enough, but this is bigger than the last one, and this is the size that I personally will probably end up using a lot more than the original one. That, and I gave the other one to my sister, so I can't exactly use it anymore, but I'm looking forward to using this one. But I started transitioning to my next thought a little too early. Now I have to move all of this stuff. Here is the piece of paper I am going to be working on, and the lovely people who made these markers asked if I would be open to drawing a Christmas-related illustration. I'm very much down for that. Enough time has passed since Halloween for it to be acceptable to start getting hyped for Christmas, right? It's easier for me to get into the Christmas spirit. I don't know, it's just how I am. If we open my sketchbook, I have some ideas here. This is the type of illustration I'm going to be making in this video. As you can see, I already swatched out all of my colors. I did all of this off camera because I didn't really know what I was going to do. I actually did a lot more sketches digitally just to save paper space, but this is the pose and everything that I decided on. Here's the colors I decided on. And the outfit, a quick little mock-up of that. For any of you guys who don't know my characters, this is Noe. I figured she would make a really nice, what's the word? Subject matter? Focal point? Anything along those lines. what, I don't know the word, it escapes me. But also this is my channel, so it's nothing new. But I thought that she would make a really great subject matter for a Christmas illustration. I'm hoping you will come along with me as I draw her with this beautiful set of 120 markers. We'll get to it. Because of like the nature of the illustration and the details I wanted to add in her outfit, the smaller paper wouldn't be ideal, but if you are making a more simple illustration, honestly, that's all you'll really need. This paper I'm using is marker paper that I already have. Also, it's a trend in my video to say like, I haven't warmed up. I didn't warm up before this drawing. Guess what? I did warm up. I'm beginning to learn. My mom actually texted me saying we should decorate for Christmas soon, so maybe I'll hang this picture up as a part of our Christmas decorations this year. The main reason I really like this pose is because then I could just... And then that's the skirt shape. I also really liked having this like little ribbon over here, so it's like the entire picture is a present. Oh my god, in my thumbnail I only had one present, but what if I added some more, so then that way, because there's 5 protagonists in their little story, and so what if I made one present for each character? For anyone new here, if you're wondering why I use 3 different pencils, this one is super thick, this one is 0.5, and this one is 0.3. I used the thickest one to put down like the general pose and everything of whatever I'm drawing, and it's probably just a pose because I only ever draw people. This one I used to block in the general shape of the character I'm drawing, and then this one I used to block in the details, and that was just sort of to mimic what I do for my digital drawings, because I have 3 sketch layers for digital drawings, and each sketch layer, the pen I use gets shorter and shorter, so I just wanted to sort of mimic that. It's absolutely not at all necessary to sketch like that, it just helps me a little bit more personally. It helps me focus on each stage of the drawing rather than the drawing as a whole, if that makes any sense. See, it kind of makes sense for this strand to be like moving forward, but I want to show off more of the outfit. So I guess I'll put that behind her. Which, I mean, I don't think people are coming to my art for realism anyway, so they come to my art because, ooh, cute anime girl, you know? Massive bow in the back of the dress because I really like drawing massive bows, and that's the only reason for it existing like that. I always feel like these parts of videos I cut out the most because I don't think it's the most interesting, I'm gonna be honest. Because I do keep my sketches really loose and rough when they're in this stage, just to avoid the drawing being too stiff. But since it is the sketching phase that requires a little bit more focus, this is why. This part of the drawing does take a little bit more focus since I'm really focusing on getting like the flow and everything down and making sure nothing is too stiff or weird looking. And so I don't end up talking as much. Just gotta stick my head in here for a minute, don't mind me. For Christmas, I should ask my mom for a haircut. Whoopsies. Well then. Okay. I'm not happy with that nose. I'll just ignore it and come back to it, because that's my problem-solving skills. Saving it for the last possible moment, and just ignoring it until then. What's up there? I'm trying to record a video. You wanna sit on my lap? Doggo is on the lap. Have anything you'd like to say to the people? Oh. Oh. Zelda, this is not what I had planned. Are you gonna try and jump on my... Okay. Well, there's her paws. Come on, Zelda, let's make a drawing. This is some quality content if I've ever seen it. Oh, and she's on my desk. Ma'am. This is very disrespectful. I'm gonna have to ask you to move. Also, I guess I'll put this in here now. If you follow me on various forms of social media, you'll know that my house is, leaking. So if the lighting is inconsistent, just ignore that because it's a little fun fact about my life. The leaking in the house is in my bedroom where I record videos. So if at some point in this video things look very different or sound very different, assume it's because of that. The way that I drew Noe's ears, they were always like pointed at the top, but recently for another drawing I was making, I had to look up a picture of a rabbit and the ears were like a lot more round than I thought they were in my head. So now like I want her ears to look more like rabbit ears because she's a jackalope. But now that I've been drawing her with the pointed ears for so long, it looks weird. So I'm just slowly but surely gonna start making her ears more round until they look fine being round. Pulling up my Noe turnaround. I'm trying to make Noe's antlers consistent. Are you guys proud of me? No, I'm not gonna put you on my lap again because you're just gonna jump on my desk. I love you, but I have to work. I can't have you laying all over my drawing. Now she's biting my hand. I'm sorry, but I got things I have to do. Don't you sass me. Don't you talk back to me. This is my life, for anyone wondering. This is what I deal with every day. Hi, Zola. Can you sit on my lap and just relax, please? The sun is starting to go behind this tree outside my house, which is great for my body temperature, but not good for the video. Zola, you are so dramatic. No, you can't go on my desk. You can't go on my desk, Zola. So, okay, you are losing your chair privileges. It's not very Christmassy of you, Zola. This shadow's really testing my patience. This box might be a bit misshapen. We'll just say it's because of whatever's inside. See? We're thinking outside the box. Line art time. I'm trying to erase this in a way that won't make my camera shake wildly, and I don't think I'm accomplishing that. So for my liners, I wanted to use red. Brought out all of my red liners. For the most part, I'm going to be using the 005. Is it just me, or does line art traditionally require a little bit more focus than it does digitally? I feel like with digital art, with my line art, I can just like go. Because with digital art, you like physically, you move your hand a lot faster. But then with traditional art, it's best if you move slowly. So it requires a little bit more focus, I guess. I'm gonna take a scrap piece of paper, slide it under here. They're a little crooked, but we don't gotta think about it. Oh, look at this light. I just noticed that. Is that better or worse? I think it's better over here, but I think it's worse over here. You know, I think until the sun changes positions in the sky, I think this is the best we're gonna get. And I unfortunately do not have control of the sun. Totally forgot to add the end of her hair here. So I'll just do that and hope it looks good because I don't have a sketch underneath. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if this is like the right way to draw bells. I mean, I think they look like bells, but it's just kind of how I've always drawn them. I don't think I've ever looked up a picture of a bell to draw it. My feet hurt. In case you were wondering, yes, I am sitting on them. Also, in case you were wondering, no, I am not moving from this position. Also, in case you were wondering, I will be wondering later why my feet hurt. And it's a mystery, really. I like how the lighting over here is like super nice, and then over here it's like, no. It's like a perfect diagonal too. Probably be wise to switch to a thicker nib to color this in, but I didn't. Shout out to all the artists that make their own lives more difficult for absolutely no reason. Honestly, now that I'm looking at our hands, I think they could still be a little bit smaller. I feel like I go back and forth between like making my hands too big and making my hands too small. And like, I know how big a hand should be on the face. A hand is about as big as the face. That's where that thought was going. But even though I know that, I still always make them either too big or too small. It's time for me to shove my face in here again. Is this the content you guys came here for? I think I have an addiction to adding seams to clothing. It's just such a nice detail, and much like the actual seams in clothing, kind of brings everything together. I don't know if that thought made any sense. I just wanted to make that joke. Well then, I'll just make that red. And then you won't even see it. These are supposed to be mistletoes. But I didn't look up a reference, because why would I? It's only the art advice that I give literally everybody else. Why would I do that? To make my life easier? Why would I do that? When I suffer on camera, it makes for better content. What happened there? It was you! It's alright, the shoe's gonna be black anyway. Oh boy, this might take a while. Since we have the time. How are you guys doing? You doing well? I'm doing well. That isn't straight, it's fine though. It's a little misshapen. It's okay, it adds character. This might ruin the fluffy texture, but I want to darken up this line a bit. I think that's fine, since I just left the gaps in there. And once the ink is down, I'll give it time to sit. It'll probably be fine, but I get paranoid. So I will let it sit before adding the color. I like the way the shoe came out. If only that wasn't there. I don't even know how I got that much ink on my finger from this. Although if there is anybody to find a way to do that, it is me. Seems like something I do, and clearly did. I believe that is all for the line art. I will let this ink sit, and I will see you later tonight, tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. All right, is it the next day of recording? You know it is. Bring this a little closer. I should also actually get scrap paper so I don't ruin my desk. I didn't label any of these colors. Like, I labeled the numbers, but I didn't label what they are. I think I could figure it out for the most part, but I'll start with the skin, because that's always my first instinct with alcohol markers. That's the word. So I believe I used this one for the highlight and then this one for the base skin tone. I didn't put down a blush color, but I feel like I should. I'll use this one. It's called Blush. I don't want it to be super obvious, so I think I'll put the blush color down first. I do really like these brush nibs. Like, I know they sent these to me for free, so you might not believe me. But genuinely, I think these are like the best brush nibs I've used on a cheaper marker alternative. They're just so good. They're like the perfect balance between like firm and flexible. You don't want your brush nibs to be super soft because then you won't have a lot of control over them, but you want them to be soft enough to where they are flexible, because if they're not flexible, then there's literally no point in having a brush nib. I think I'll add the shading first, and then I will add the freckles. I feel like every time I add freckles first, I end up just losing them. A question I got last time I used these markers that I admittedly forgot to talk about in the video. People want to know if they work well with other alcohol markers. So like if you could use these with Ohuhu or use these with Copics or anything. And the answer is yes. I do it all the time in my sketchbook. After I did try the smaller set on my channel, I did end up using them quite a bit in combination with my other markers. And I don't even think you could really tell. If anyone wonders how I do freckles, I take this and I'm like, and then the freckles are there. Very insightful, I know. All right, I think that's all for her skin, actually. Her skin is fairly covered up. Figured that would suit a wintry outfit. I say as she has exposed shoulders, which probably isn't good for a wintry outfit, but it looked nice, so I did it. I feel like character design is something I'm always giving a lot of advice on, but then, like, whenever I talk about my characters, my main explanation for why I do things is it looked nice, and I liked it. Oh, this shadow's bothering me. What am I to do? I feel like another thing I also forgot to mention the last time I used these markers, they actually layer on themselves really nicely. Like, you can get a fairly large variety of tones with just one marker if you just layer it. I don't think there would be a lot of highlights over here because it is in the back, but my addiction to adding highlights to everything is sort of getting in the way. Oh, I went outside the lines. For a professional artist, I am very bad at staying inside the lines when I color. All right, these shadows are really distracting. I have to wait for the sun to move again. Curse you, daylight savings. All right, I'll be back when there won't be this. Sun has moved positions, I can confirm. I will not confirm whether or not it is the next day, but I do have coffee. Take that as you will. My coffee is fogging in my glasses. My dog is upset in the next room. Let's finish this drawing. All right, this isn't the color I had planned, but we're gonna use that one. Also, I am aware that there is a shadow in this corner. I'm going to kindly ask you ignore it. So many markers in my hands right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little terrified that I will accidentally grab the wrong marker, much like how I almost just did. If anyone's wondering how many markers I usually use for like one thing, I'll have like a base tone, a highlight tone, and then usually at least 2 shades. But it really depends on what it is I'm shading. I wonder if after this I should find one more darker tone just to add in a few places here and there. There are certain areas of this drawing that don't have quite the amount of contrast I'm looking for. Add some shading to her eyes before I forget, because I most definitely will. I don't want to add this to too many places. Just some spots here and there where I'm struggling to get the amount of contrast I need. Now that I'm looking at it, I wonder if this is a bit too much contrast. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't look bad, I really should have used a different marker. Should probably color in her ears and antlers while I'm at it. I'll just slap these on her antlers real quick. They won't take much time to make it all. Alright, I'll let that sit while I figure out her ears. I really should have labeled what's what. That would have made my life easier. I don't know why I didn't label what's what. The last time I tried these markers, I 100% did, and it was so much easier. But for some reason, with this one, I was like, nah, I'll remember. Even though I should have known I would not. I don't know what color I should use for the highlights here. Let me try this. That's too dark. That's fine. I don't know why I capped that. I need it. I think those highlights aren't blended in enough. There we go. Oh, and the sun died. Well then. Oh, and it's back. Oh, and I threw the marker. I need to study in how I actually I'm supposed to draw for. It's one of the things where I kind of just make up something and I think it looks acceptable. There is for sure a more correct way to do it. I think after I do skin, I usually do anything that's like black and white. I don't know why my brain works that way. It just does whatever I do traditional art. I really love the warm grays in this set. I can't show it on camera because it's a Christmas present for someone, but I did use the warm grays in another drawing and they just look beautiful. I also find it's a little easier to like put down all of one color, if that makes sense, at a time. So like before I shade these bits, I'm putting down like all of the black areas of the drawing. I just think it's a lot more convenient. So I'm not switching between markers as much. Fast is also that lighter color, and I am realizing, hold on, let me adjust. I am at peace again. I can't believe I forgot that. That was one of my favorite details of this. Drawing this kind of makes me want to make Christmas outfits for the rest of the characters in this story. That would be fun, right? Although then again, I do have a lot of other things I should probably be working on first. Like commissions and Christmas presents and videos. But look how cute she is. Imagine how awesome everyone else would look. I think the rest of the black bits in this drawing were darker, so I could set this aside for now. Let me lighten up some of these highlights and color in the present. Because again, for someone who does art for a living, I'm really bad at coloring inside the lines. I was gonna ask if anyone has any tips for coloring inside the lines, but like, is there any tips to give? I feel like the best tip there is in terms of coloring inside the lines is just slow down, which I do not do. I think for these lighter black pieces, I should just leave the shading at that. I was gonna go in with this one to add some darker spaces, and I might once I color in the rest of it, but I'm just worried about the lighter black bits and the darker black bits blending in with each other a little too much. So I think I should color in those and go from there. But I'm scared because it's very dark and intimidating, so I'm gonna color in the white bits first. I do think the only complaint I really have about these markers is like the grays that are available. You do have like a wide variety of them. Like these are green grays, and then I have warm grays, and we have cool grays and blue grays and stuff like that. But if you look, it's like, this is the darkest cool gray, and I don't know, I just think that like it's a bit odd. Not really bad, just odd. As a result, I do end up mixing different gray tones together, which isn't something I typically do. Just make it look real fluffy to the point of where it's borderline too much, because it's a common theme with my art, I feel like. Okay, I think I need to stop. I'm gonna overwork this fluff. Can't help it, I'm having fun. I have made a fool of myself. I capped these a little wrong. It got everywhere. Oh no. I think I can fix it. And I'll just color this one in that color. And see, it's fine. Because these are striped, coloring them in is gonna be a little bit difficult. I don't think I can do too much more shading to these until I color in the red stripes, and this sun is very distracting right now. Can you all decide what you want to do in the sky out there? Thanks. I'd appreciate it. Got a video to film here. Doesn't Mother Nature know my YouTube videos have a higher priority than their cloud stuff? Kidding, Mother Nature, you're doing great. I actually almost made the stripes on her stockings black. Personally, I do think I would like the black better, but I feel like the red and white is a little more Christmassy. I think this part I'm just gonna go in with the straight black. Feast your eyes on this. It's a rare occasion. I really like black as a color, but using it can be a bit scary. And yeah, I called black a color. I will die on this hill. Black is a color, fight me. I used to always tell people, whenever our subjective favorite color would come up, I'd always be like, oh, I really like black. And people would be like, black's not a color. I don't care. It's a color in my heart. I also noticed that with these markers I use the like tip to tip method, which is basically very self-explanatory. You put the tips together, preferably the lighter color on the bottom, and then you color, and it just helps with like blending because the ink like mixes together on the actual nib of the marker. It's just super easy to do on these markers. I think a part of it is because these are still very new to me, and so they have a lot of ink in them still. As a marker becomes older and more dry in the nib, that method becomes a little bit more difficult to do, and that is something that you can do with bullet nibs too, but like many things with alcohol markers, it's more ideal to have a brush nib. I'm trying to limit the amount of highlights I put on here. I think that'll help show it's a little further back. I don't know what this voice is. Notice I've been doing that a lot. I'll just randomly start talking in a different voice. I'm like, why am I doing this? This isn't funny to anybody, not even me. And I'm really easily amused. The shoes were black, and I believe that's it. This other shoe, I think I'm actually gonna completely color in this base tone. I think that'll help push it more in the background. Totally forgot about this buckle. I will take care of it. See, the smart thing would be to do it now while it's on my mind. But, welcome to my channel where I don't do the smart thing. For the sake of not overworking things, I think I'm going to leave it there. There's a lot of red, so I think I'm going to add the red in last. We'll start with the greens. There's not many of those. I picked these like more bluey greens just because I'm always very reluctant to add green and red. Just because I feel like out of all of the contrasting colors, they're my least favorite, but also they're Christmas. So I went with this more bluey green color just because I thought it would help tone it down and match the rest of the drawing a little bit more. I believe I said I would make the ribbons red because I messed up that line right there. And then these, there's only one present in my little thumbnail over here, so these don't have colors. I guess I'll make that the color of that. I can make this box yellow. I guess I can make these ribbons green and then that box red. I don't know, we're gonna go with it. And if it looks bad, then I'll cry. Dude, is it just me or is shading boxes kind of difficult? Like, you would think it would be really simple, but I think it's because it's supposed to be so simple, I end up overthinking it. So I end up overshading something that really should just be simple, flat colors, and that's it. What yellows did I have? 32, 23, 42. 42 is more of like a greeny color, but when you shade a yellow with like a green color, it makes it more of like a gold. I said this box will be yellow, right? I don't know if I didn't, it is now. I don't want to add too much of this like orangey color. I'm mostly just adding this little bit of orange to help push the yellow color. Solar bear, where are you? Where's the bear? There's a bear. Okay, that wasn't an invitation for you to wanting to get on my lap, because I'm still filming, and you are going to crawl on my desk. I am learning my lesson. No, you're not allowed up here, Zola. Oh my goodness. I've angered her. I had two different tones of red, just to help break it up. I'll start with the darker ones. I believe the main thing that was the lighter reds were her dress and then her hair bows, and then I think all of the rest of the red were the darker ones. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I should make her hair bows the darker red, since I'm making this bow over here the darker red. I wonder if I should just do that so then all the bows in the drawing match. I mean, the difference in reds that I have is pretty subtle, so I don't think it would make too much of a difference either way. Mr. Aeroplane. Zola, what are you gonna do? Fight the airplane? I just realized there's an inconsistency here. I'll just color this whole thing red. Nobody acknowledged that. If it happened, no it didn't. Now let's make her bows the darker one. Doing another dangerous 3-marker move. Place your bets now. Will I mess up? Will I use the wrong marker? Right now I'm stuck between not rendering this bow as much because I don't want it to distract from the main piece, and rendering the bow a lot because, look, it's a bow. Ma'am, I really don't appreciate the energy you're putting into the world right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Whenever I put down first layers like this, I'm never too worried about it coming out super streaky. Because of how much blending I do in my art, I do end up layering quite a bit. So here it's like not the smoothest. After I add like more shading and everything, it becomes less obvious. And of course, once I'm almost done with this, my camera's dying, so I will let that charge and I'll be right back. All right, I don't have much more, so let's hope nothing else goes wrong before I finish this. I don't really have much more to do though. I think shading on here and then white highlights really. Wrong marker. It's bound to happen eventually. It's on this bad boy. And we are done. Here is the finished product. I don't know why that word left my mind. Here's our little thumbnails that we had. I had a lot of fun using these markers. Just like last time, I am going to say these are genuinely some of the best cheap marker alternatives that I've used ever. Really? So I gave my sister my smaller set, like I said, and she likes them too. If you know a beginner for alcohol markers, get them this. If you know a professional who uses alcohol markers, get this. And it's Christmas, so they could be Christmas gifts. Get it for yourself if you want. I mean, you deserve a Christmas present. And also, they're just really cool people. They've been lovely to talk to, so. And I do want to give just one more thank you to you guys for being super patient with me at the moment. I keep talking about how I live in a new house and things are, we're still not quite settled yet. Recording setups aren't quite as they should be, as I'm sure you could figure out from the camera shaking and also me saying it 80 billion times. But hopefully, once my house is not leaking, I will have a more proper and I guess nicer setup for videos, and I'll get back to making traditional art videos hopefully soon. If not sometime soon, definitely in the coming new year. Thank you for your patience. I feel like I feel a lot worse about it than you guys feel about it because I'm like, I'm really sorry. Forgive me, and then you guys are just like, dude, relax. But thank you for coming along with me as I tried out the 120 set of Sanjoki art markers. I will leave a link in the description box below for anyone who wants to grab yourself some. I could recommend both this one and the 80 set of markers, but I'm not gonna lie, this set of 120 kind of owns my heart at the moment, so I would recommend that. And also, I think I forgot to say, this video isn't sponsored. I'm not being paid for, like, saying anything, but they did send them to me for free, which is really cool. I really, really like them, and I'm very grateful that I was able to try them out, so hopefully you will give yourselves the opportunity to try them out. But I think that is about all I have for you today, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you have tried these markers before, let me know your thoughts and your opinions. I would definitely love to hear them. And if you are new here, hello, my name is Oliver. I post new videos here every single Wednesday. Sometimes they're a little late, but the goal is always Wednesday. I make a lot of art on this channel, as you could probably guess. I do videos like this where I draw and talk, I do speed paints, do whatever I want really. So if those are interesting to you, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you. And if you want to see more from me, you can follow me on social media, which will be on screen now in this little corner and linked in the description box below. I also have my Ko-fi page in the description, so if you want to give me a little tip, I'd appreciate it. And if you want to see more videos of mine, there will be some on screen now and linked in the iCard for you to check out if you want. Again, I'd really appreciate it. It's so much more fun doing outros when I have my hands visible. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.